Alright. So maybe you got off work early and you're playing games with the squad, chilling and having a good time, but you're getting your ass busted. Now you gotta lean forward and bust some ass yourself. Or maybe you're at a party and don't know nobody, and you're scrolling through your phone pretending like you're doing something. Or you're sitting on the subway and people don't give you no damn arm because they're rude. So in all three scenarios, your shoulder's hurting and you don't know why. But the common denominator in all these situations is your posture. And this is part 3 of the posture series, and we're going to specifically talk about the shoulder, the ways in which our posture causes us pain, and some strategies to kind of improve the pain that we're dealing with, or maybe just get rid of it altogether. Alright, so now let's pair an image with that sensation of pain you're feeling in the shoulders. Normally you're going to get that pain in the front and then the side of the shoulder due to bad posture. It's going to be mostly caused by the biceps, the long head and the short head are right here. These tendons cause pain in the front. Then you got the supraspinatus, which kind of wraps around to the side of the shoulder. And this is the most problematic rotator cuff muscle. Just bear that in mind. So let's take a look at the other muscles. You got the subscap, which is a rotator cuff muscle. It's generally pretty tight in people with bad posture. You got the teres minor and the infraspinatus, which are generally pretty weak. And you know what? Supraspinatus is usually pretty weak as well. Coracobrachialis gets tight, so do the biceps. So let's talk about the motions that cause pain. Anything overhead is probably going to bother you. Cross body is going to bother you. Internal rotation with load can bother you sometimes. Another thing is just leaning on that damn shoulder and having the head come forward. If you think about it, when the humeral head is pressing forward, what's stopping it or what's resisting, right? You got these tendons right here that are always under constant stress. Now let's look at some other muscles that are pretty tight. You got the pec major with the pec minor underneath. You can't really see that, but those tend to get pretty tight. And you also got your lats right here, which come from the pelvis all the way up into the front of the shoulder. And the teres major. They kind of share similar functions, or pretty much almost the same functions. And also here's a good look at the other rotator cuff muscles on the back. Alright people, let's talk considerations, tight muscles, and weak muscles. But before I continue, let's screenshot that. Take a look, soak it in, enjoy it. Alright, so which side are you leaning towards? Whenever we're sitting down at a desk or laying in bed, we always favor one side. How often are you leaning forward? You know, in the beginning I showed uncomfortable situations, or when people don't want to give you any room on the train. Or when you're gaming, you need that 10% accuracy bonus, so you gotta lean forward, right? Now, exercise also does relate to this, because if you're getting pain due to bad posture, it has a good chance of carrying over to your exercise. So let's take a look at that really quick. So how often are you exercising? Some people just do way too much, and there's just too much demand on their body. And you know, when you feel that pain, your body's telling you something, which does lead into the next thing of how long are you resting? You need to take appropriate rest. You need to get good amounts of sleep as well. And the last one people don't want to talk about, which is the bad exercise form, you know, trash form, so to speak. But it's okay, we all been there. We all had wonky form at one point, but it is important to address that because it does carry over to the bad posture, towards pain, towards dysfunction, blah, 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 right? So now we got the tight muscles, which I did go over in the previous slide. We were talking about the pecs, the lats, the subscaps, biceps, teres major, also the coracobrachialis, but I didn't put it in because it's essentially like the pec, right? And muscles that do get weak are your external rotators, which perform this motion, and with the arm straight, that motion, right? Those are going to be your teres minor, infraspinatus, and the rear delt is a pretty strong external rotator as well. The entire upper mid back generally gets pretty weak, which is why you see that sunken in chest, flexed upper back, right? Everything in there is inhibited and weak, which are your rhomboids, your mid traps, your lower traps, even your serratus does get kind of weak as well, which is why we need to get that thoracic extension, and it does carry over to the shoulder. Alright guys, let's take a look at how your posture should be in a resting position. Hello there. I'm going to shake, jump around just to make sure I am the least biased possible, you know. So that's what it looks like. Pretty solid, ears over the shoulders, what we want, heads back. But now let's look at the shoulders rolling forward just a little bit. Okay, so that's what that looks like with the little kyphosis, right? Now, even more of a flexed spine and even more of the shoulders rolling forward. Now look how high you can bring that shoulder. You physically can't bring it much higher. I want you to try this so you know I'm not exaggerating. Try it out. tell me what you think. Now this is what it should be, about 180 degrees. I'm like 175, almost there, but I'm gonna keep myself honest. On my right side, I am a little tighter. You can see that's probably like 165-ish, maybe 170. I got some work, but if I arch my back and cheat, I could do it, but don't do it. That's no bueno. You're gonna hurt yourself, your shoulder or your back. Now we're gonna go in extension. That's looking good. That's about 45, maybe a tiny bit more. On the right, almost the same. That is where it should be. So that looks good. Now we got external rotation. I go past 90, right? You can see it right there. 90 would be in line with my ear. But internal rotation is not good. That should be at 90. I'm like barely halfway there. On my left, okay, that's about 70 to 80. I have external rotation on my left arm. Abduction is no problem. I can get to 180. You want to be able to get to 180. If you can't, that's a problem. Now horizontal abduction, I'm going behind the body. My left arm is able to get there pretty easily, and the range of motion is very good. Now we do take a look at the right, and you're gonna see once I'm in line a little tight, and I start to feel a lot of pulling once I go behind the plane of my body. That's something I have to work on. And next we got thoracic rotation, which is important for shoulder health. You want about 30 degrees on either side, 30 to 35 I believe. And also the greater, well not the greater, if you have an appropriate amount of thoracic rotation, there is a less likelihood that your shoulder is going to be hurt on that same side. So it's just good overall. But wait a damn minute. Let's take a look at it from the back. See, the lats are normal, shoulder blades are together. But now the lats are really spread out and the shoulder blades move further away. Now let's look at the wrists and the elbows. When the palms are facing back, people say that's internal rotation, but it's not. The elbows have to be flared out as well. With the palms facing back, that just means the pronator teres are tight. The elbows are what indicates the shoulder rotation. So now let's look at a side view and see if things are symmetrical. The ear should be in line with the shoulder, which should be in line through the middle of the trunk, to the hip, to the side of the knee. I got a little hyperextension in my left knee, so give me a break. But this is what a symmetrical side view looks like. And we ain't done yet. This is supposed to be that transition from the information I gave you guys to the stretches and the exercises. You don't have to do every single stretch that I go through because it's going to be a lot of stretches and it's going to be a lot of exercises. You have to take a look and see what applies to you where you're limited, because this is just a general kind of guide to help you with your posture, but also how you get shoulder pain from bad posture. So it's a pretty general video. There's a lot more videos I want to do deep dives on in the future if I can stay on my stuff and stay on my grind and stop being lazy. But that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to put that out there. So if you're wondering why it feels like something is missing, it's because it's coming. Alright, so we're jumping right into it. We're going to start with the lat stretch. So I'm going to grab hold of the pole and I'm going to shift my body weight back, and you're going to feel a stretch in the armpit area, even a little further down. If you want more of a stretch, you're going to put the left foot behind the right one like so, or reach up higher onto the pole, and you're going to hold that for about 30 seconds. Alright, so I'm going to need you to find the corner of a wall to do this pec stretch. You're going to start low if you're particularly tight, and use the knee to bring the body forward. Get a nice pull. If you want more stretch, go to the shoulder height. But what I don't want you to do is this. Watch it, watch it. Nope, keep that arm glued, relaxed, and you're going to shift that body weight forward. And if you want more of a stretch, turn away just like I do. You're going to hold that for the same amount of time. And again, I am a man of options, so this is what I don't want you to do. I love this pec stretch, by the way, but look, don't let that shoulder come forward like before. Look, nope. Shoulder down and back, relax. You can even get the biceps if you do pronation. You're gonna lock the elbow, twist the wrist, and you'll feel a little more in your biceps. That's another way you can do that. Now we move on to the biceps. Well, another variation for it anyway. You're gonna make sure that elbow is locked and the palm is facing the ceiling, so you're in pronation. Then you're gonna lean forward. If you want less of a stretch, hand lower, more of a stretch, hand higher. You're gonna feel a great stretch through the biceps. And if you feel like you can't reach across the body, this is an excellent way to do this. You're gonna feel a good pull in the back of the shoulder. You should do it standing. I didn't have that option because the pole was too short, but I prefer it. Or you can take your hand and place it on the elbow and pull across the body. Don't elevate that shoulder like so. Just let it rock, let it stay low. Give it a good pull. And I know what you're thinking. Kev, you already showed us this one. Yes, I did, because it's awesome and I hope you all do it. It's great for your T-spine rotation, even opening up your pecs a little bit. And you can do it two ways. Look, watch the next one. And boom, other arm comes in. I wish the wall was longer, but it's all right. We work with what we got, right? This is an excellent one for thoracic rotation and even to open up the pecs. And if your sport or activity does require rotation, this is a good one to do. Just do it. And speaking about the long forgotten T-spine, you're going to find something like this. You're going to put your elbows right up to the edge, line it up, take your time please. Right? Once you have your position, you're going to scoot back and you're going to let the chest drop and keep the hands relaxed, okay? So very important. You see, look at that. That's going to work thoracic extension. You're going to feel pressure in the upper back and even maybe a bit of a stretch in the back of the shoulders and the lats. So now this is one way to do it. You see how I scoot my body back? I feel a little more of a pull there and I keep my lower back kind of flat. So now look at that. I forgot a piece of equipment because I'm a fool. And now we're back to our scheduled programming. Now the reason I have this is to keep my hands in external rotation. Doing so is going to let you get more of a stretch in the lat. You're still going to feel it in the T-spine for sure, but you will emphasize the lat a little more. So right now it's just a question of specificity. What do you want to focus on? This is going to be the final stretch in this series before the exercises. This is for the subscap. So you're going to do it starting at the side if you're tight or a little up higher. Right? It's going to be pretty effective in getting you a stretch if you're that tight. And yes, that's Kitty, and she has her own house. Yes, she doesn't pay no bills, but she has a house. Yes. This is if you want more external rotation past 90. That's looking pretty good, ain't it? I know. But no, seriously, any kind of overhead athlete usually requires a good amount of external rotation, so that's a good one to add in. Before we get to the exercises to help you, let's fix this, right? Simple tips that will help you. You're gonna lay in the bench, nice little arch in the back, shoulders down and back, and squeeze together. Now when we lower, we're going to be at about 60 degrees and we're going to press from there. That usually feels pretty good, especially for anyone predisposed with shoulder pain. Now I'm at 90. It's generally a little more harsher on the shoulder joint and less comfortable. Again, I can't tell you what to do. You do what you want to do. But if you're predisposed to shoulder pain, try keeping it 60 degrees. Now I'm going to go pretty deep or a little deeper. Again, you can do it. I encourage it if you have the proper mobility. My right pec is tight, and for me it's just uncomfortable and borderline painful when I do it, so I'm not there yet. And here we have a side view. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. The shoulders down and back, nice little arch in the back, and you see how the elbows are stacked with the wrists, and you're going to press up. Again, this is about 60 degrees. Never mind the 30s. We know I could throw up the 200s like our Lord and Savior Ronnie Coleman, but this is for demonstration purposes only. Here's some foreign tips for the shoulder press. You want them in front. In line with the body is okay, but in front is better if you're predisposed to pain. Don't arch the back, tuck it under and squeeze, don't cheat. And you're just gonna press straight up. Also keep the shoulders down and back, you don't have to shrug. Here's another thing that drives me crazy. Don't let them dip forward like this. That means that you don't have the proper mobility to do it, or you mechanically don't understand how to do it. Elbows and wrists should always be stacked, and that's the end of the tips. Alright, now for some exercises that actually strengthen the muscles for good posture. These are called the Ys, and they are for the lower traps. This is the easiest form of this exercise because they come in many different shapes and sizes. If you really want, you could add some weight to this, well, some small weight anyway. And what I want you to do is to keep those elbows locked and raise the arms to the height of the ears. And this variation has been popularized by Mr. Ben Patrick, knees over toe guy. This gives you a greater range of motion, which is dope, and you get some isometric work on the low back, which is nice too. And compared to the first one, if you have bad mobility, you can't do the first one, where this one you can actually get some work in the lower traps, even though you may be a little tight. This is the variation I prefer to do because it allows me to have a greater torso lean and it makes it more challenging at the top. The only thing is there's a trade-off, the limiting factor being your hamstring flexibility. If your hamstrings are a little tight, you may not be able to get into this position, so the previous one is more accessible to people. This is an awesome compound movement for the upper back. It's called rows. Every time you pull, the shoulder's going to be at 45 degrees, and I do want you to squeeze right at the end and actually allow your shoulder blades to separate when the weight comes forward. You're going to keep those shoulders down and back every single time. And we're going to take a look at the front now, so that you can see exactly where I'm pulling to. Boom. Right by the diaphragm is kind of where I'm pulling with this movement. And you can see my low back stays in pretty good control and I'm not swinging back to complete the movement. Again, I'm a man of options, so this is a chest supported row. It's very similar to the other one. The arms are going to be at about 45 degrees and you're going to pinch those shoulder blades together. And this is free weighted, so it is a little different from the cable. Definitely a good variation, especially for those with issues with their lower back. In this next one, you're strengthening all the same muscles you were in the previous exercise. You're just doing the same thing, but with straight arms as opposed to bent arms. This is the easiest one, followed by one that's a bit more challenging. You can get on any kind of pec fly and just sit opposite. There's usually adjustments you can make on the actual machine, and you're just gonna retract just like that. Make sure to actually squeeze those shoulder blades though. I prefer the grip on the inside, but again, to each their own. I know what you're saying. Lower back extensions, how's that gonna help my posture, my upper back? You're gonna see. You want at least maybe about 2.5 inches of space from the bone called the ACES all the way to the pad. Not only does it strengthen the lower back, but it also provides strength for thoracic extension, which is extremely important. It's gonna reverse bad posture. But listen, here's another pro tip. You're gonna externally rotate the shoulders and it'll give you more thoracic extension, or just place a greater emphasis on thoracic extension. Notice how many times I say thoracic extension. Take a shot every time I say it. Damn, how long am I gonna keep doing this? I got one more for you. Oh, okay, it's after this one. Boom. All right, check this out. So you combine the Y's with extension, so you can get in some work for the lower traps. It is a good exercise. I would prefer you do the previous one for thoracic extension. This is just another option. I thought it was sweet. Now we're finally on to some rotator cuff strengthening. We're gonna do, it's kind of like a lateral raise, but it's just in the scapular plane is what they call it. It is not in line with the body, not completely in front, but a 45 degree. This is a great exercise for the supraspinatus, and I'm using cables here because I get constant tension. You can use dumbbells too, because there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I think options are awesome. As you see with this dumbbell, now peep it from the side. You're gonna see the 45 shoulder angle I was talking about. See? Perfect. Shoulders are down and back. Excellent control. If you feel like your traps are burning, but your shoulders aren't shrugging, don't freak out. It's probably the supraspinatus. It's directly below the traps, and people, PTs, aides, whoever, everyone freaks out when they hear that. Chillax. If your form is good, you're good. Now we move on to the teres minor and the infraspinatus. They're both external rotators and rotator cuff muscles. Right here, I'm doing it at 90 degrees. If you feel uncomfortable, a little painful, just lower a little bit and continue. This is a more advanced version of external rotation, but I'm going to show you another way. Right here, we switch to doing it at our sides, and I'm coming up at a slight diagonal. I want you to take note of that. It's more effective, and to make sure your form stays strict. So now I'm going to change this camera angle real quick, just for you guys. Alright, so take a look at the external rotation from this angle. So not too low, not too high, right there. Arm is going to be at your side, boom. See, it looks really smooth. Now I'm going to show you a common mistake people always make, and as you can clearly see, it is using too much of the triceps when your arm starts to get tired. People do this all the time. Stop doing it. Alright, so it's time to myth bust the most common myth. You're too busy at your desk job or whatever you're doing, you don't have any time to fit in any ounce of exercise. I'm going to show you why that's bullshit. Boom. Resistance band. Amazon, sporting goods store, wherever the hell you want to get it. Elbows locked, nice and straight. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Boom. Bang out a couple of these. That's one. Elbows at the side. Externally rotate. That's two. Really important. Stomp on it. Use your foot as a little weight, right? Come up into like a Y. About here. Control coming up. Boom. 3 very good exercises for your posture you can do at your desk with no excuses. There you go. Alright guys, so the golden rules are right here. I want you to memorize it, recite it, screenshot it, commit it to memory, all of the above. So what do we have? We have watch the leaning. Whether you're leaning to the left, leaning to the right, or just leaning forward. Just don't do that as much, or just be conscious of it, right? Next we got stretch breaks. Take breaks as much as you can. I know not every job allows you to do it, but the little moments that you do have, the little downtime, try to do it. Another one is measure your actual strength progress and flexibility progress. A lot of times we do I feel this or I feel that, and a lot of times our feelings betray the objective truth. Are you able to lift more? Are you able to get a little further? Those are important things to note. You know, that's how you measure progress. All right, what else are we rocking with? Yes, do things with the off hand. So use the left hand more, whether you're picking things up from the ground. Maybe not brush your teeth because that's pretty damn hard. Mopping, sweeping, just regular daily activities. Try it with the offhand. And remember guys, be patient with yourself and be forgiving with yourself. These are new habits and I don't expect anyone to do this overnight. So until next time guys, keep doing your stretching, watch your posture, and mind your business. Peace.